When I started working at the Marriott as a night guard, I couldn't find jack shit online about what the job was actually like, and what I did find, I'm just gonna be honest, was wrong. So I figured I'd record some of the absurd shit I got away with while I was there. That job is where I really learned how far you can push the limits at work, which sounds obvious, but honestly most people never really think about how stupid it is to save your best behavior for jobs you don't even fucking care about. It started small. During patrols, I'd sit here and there for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. Normal slacker behavior, honestly. The kind of thing more people should probably be doing because these companies do not care about you nearly enough for you to give them your soul. Once I realized how easy it was to get away with the little things, I started using another great perk of free will. Open every door you have the key to. That's real advice, by the way. Open enough doors and you will find weird, useful, beautiful things. At that hotel, I had access to 7 rooftops, and each one of those had sections and divisions that made it harder to be found even if someone suspected you were up there. But once you did find gold, you didn't stop digging. I found probably 30 different backrooms and hideouts I could rotate between just to keep people off my tail. One of my favorites was what I called the green chair room. It had a green chair and was very obviously also being used by someone on another shift to slack off. I love that. I had an equal out there somewhere, a fellow criminal I never met. I totally got caught in this room by one of the maintenance guys, but he didn't give a fuck, and I give him respect for that. That room had great AC because it housed the transformers, and it was opened with a manual key instead of fob, so there was no digital record of me going in and out. The only downside was that maintenance had actual reasons to check it, so I was never fully safe. Still, that became small time for me after a while. I started exploring the separate spa building and found areas above the massage rooms, some of which were exposed, too bright, or too visible to cleaners, but eventually I found an unkept one. No furniture, no problem. I stole a pool chair cushion out of the storage and made myself a little sleep setup for after lunch at 3 a.m. That worked for a while, but eventually the bugs became an issue, and if you've ever been half asleep while something crawls on you, I think you understand. So I switched it up again. One thing I realized about the hotel was that there was no cameras on guest floors. Lower levels had a few risky spots, but the 6th floor was basically free. If I could get something up there, I could move it wherever I wanted, and that opened up a whole new world of nonsense. Eventually, I found my sleep spot, the elevator room roof. At some point, I found a giant outdoor couch cushion stored up where it absolutely should not have been, in a maintenance room on the roof. I mean, like, who drags that up there? But I dragged it up the ladder, climbed through an access hatch, and built myself a bed on top of the elevator room. At that point, I was ridiculously safe. Someone would have had to unlock one of 7 roof doors, enter one of 2 elevator rooms, climb a ladder, and open a hatch just to find me asleep. So you can bet I slept pretty damn well up there. And honestly, if I had planned to stay at that job long term, that's probably where I would have hit the limit of my experimentation. But I have this problem where after about 6 months at any job, I've looked around all I want to, and I start thinking about deeply depressing ideas about having to do this dog shit work forever. It tends to make me a little, silly. So once I knew my time there was probably limited, I started doing things just because I could. One night, I brought a friend into the hotel, through a back door, and took him onto the roof with me. Perfect route. Avoided every camera. Chilled up there for 30 minutes, and honestly, I thought it was cool as hell. I thought I got away with it too. Then I stepped back off the roof, and out of the 1,000+ doors in that shitty place, my coworker Philip was standing right there. My friend, who was supposed to wait for the signal, stepped in behind me and said, "Is it clear?" So that was pretty much that. I don't remember every word of the conversation, but I do remember asking something like, "You didn't see anything, right?" And Philip acting like he had my back. He did not. He turned me in. And that's where I learned something bigger than anything the hotel itself taught me. Philip was in his 30s, rode the bus to work, was morbidly obese, constantly talked about women in this gross, desperate way, never got his work done, and I don't say that to be cruel. I say it because it was the first man I really noticed who seemed deeply stuck in his life. And I think watching someone 10 years younger than him show up at the same job with 2 bikes, a body that still worked, actual momentum, and a future that still felt alive made him bitter. And at the time, I didn't understand that. Now I do. Sometimes when you're young and moving fast, people who have had way more time than you will resent you just for having motion. Not because you wronged them, not because you're better, but because the momentum reminds them that they don't have what you do. That's what crabs do when they see one escaping the bucket. And the important thing is that you cannot let them make you become bitter back. You don't need revenge. You don't need to obsess over it. You don't need to slow down just to make stagnant people more comfortable. You just need to understand where the feeling comes from and accept that it has very little to do with you. Getting turned in only got me a warning, by the way. That's when I learned the hotel basically has a 3-strike system. So naturally, I took the information and fucking ran with it. After that, I started using empty hotel rooms in a wing of the hotel that was being remodeled at the time. It made it easy because I knew no one was ever going to be in them, so I was testing out a few different things, like chilling in the penthouses, spending more time in the normal rooms, and really just goofing off. I was playing my PS Vita a lot at the time, so it was nice to have entertainment wherever I wanted. This peaked with me using one of the normal rooms to just take a bath. I know, doesn't sound that huge, but man, does it feel surreal to have taken a bath on the clock of the highest paying job I've ever had. By the time I decided I was out, I'd seen domestic abuse, people having sex in the pool, weird night shift politics, and enough nonsense to last me years. I have also collected a few souvenirs on the way out, but was it the job for me? No. But it did teach me something useful. Night security is actually not that bad of a job for a young person with no clear direction. I was making $22 an hour at 21 years old, dealing with enough uncertainty that I learned I could handle myself just fine. So if you're 18 and lost, get your guard card. Seriously, nothing motivates you faster than seeing coworkers and homeless people you absolutely do not want to become. If you found this video interesting, I might upload a follow-up about one of my other 6 jobs. But this has been Cody Cashin. Stay unemployed out there.